Should I just walk away from this?
I think apology videos are for suckers. It's kind of like, here's the mistakes you need to make.
Half of you guys probably watching this video right now on the toilet.
We just crossed 1 billion views across both channels. And with that came a little bit of reflection on some of the things we've done right and some of the things we've done wrong. And we wanted to share with you guys 5 mistakes that we've made, eventually learned from, and that have helped us get to where we are today. So who wants to go first?
Oh man, this is where we have to accept our faults.
Working with this actor, he had a bad attitude about everything. He felt like working on a YouTube series was below him. That bad attitude just did not wear off. The mistake we made, not calling him out on it. We didn't call him out due to our fear of completely shutting down our set.
What was the worst that could have happened? We still have a guy with a bad attitude on set.
Right.
He still gives us mediocre performances.
Yeah.
So how did you learn from that? What are you gonna do next time?
I guess we're gonna have to just be frank. You have to call them out. That peer pressure is a good thing, especially when they know they're in an environment where people aren't counting on them. You have to risk angering people every once in a while to keep everyone happy.
Number 2, I'll go. When you're working with clients and you're delivering a product or service to another person, there's always gonna be a moment where you need to say, should I just walk away from this? And if you can't, if you don't allow yourself that out, it's gonna be a long, hard road. A few years ago, we did a series, The Division. The road to getting there, it should have been a lot easier, is because we didn't put ourselves in a position to be able to walk away. The terms of the deal, we would get paid upon final delivery. We spent a lot of money. We couldn't walk away from it after that point. We were stuck. They knew that in a way. They pushed us and pushed us and pushed us. So an example where we learned from that is Nico's going to tell you about it right here.
Yeah, because I remember last year we built a costume from Destiny. We started the production, we started the brand integration, started with that costume, but we were having trouble getting a concept out that we were comfortable with shooting that Bungie also liked. We actually pitched 11 concepts. All of them got turned down because
one reason or another.
It was a very sensitive time for Destiny. What happens when you're dealing with a corporation is the person who makes the decision on their end is insulated between you and them by about 10 more people. And so you don't have any chance of compromise. They're gonna say it, even offhand, and you will have to do it. And that's gonna go on forever until that person is done being nitpicky with stuff.
That's why here at Corridor Digital, we only have an insulation of 2 people between the decision and the end product.
You guys have probably noticed that a Destiny video never came out. And that's because we walked away from the project.
One mistake you don't need to make is missing out on our incredible special Black Friday merchandise sale. It's going on now. For example, we have this Portal Trick Shots inspired comic tee. It's super comfortable, it's super fun, and even though Wren directed the video, I liked it so much that I said, hey, Wren, let me do this segment, buddy. Anyway, it's available at corridordigital.store.
Another mistake we've made, be clear up front with what you're going to do and stick to it. Don't compromise. Because once you compromise, the other person's just gonna ask for more and more and more and more. As long as they're asking for it from you and you're going to do it, it's a one-way compromise. Oh, you'll do this? Could you do this too? Could you do this too?
I'm just saying, you need some of that to succeed.
I don't like saying something when I know it's gonna have a negative reaction. So if they ask me if I can do this one thing, and I know they're gonna be upset when I say no, but we really shouldn't be doing it, sometimes it's a bit of an internal struggle, and sometimes I've said yes in the past.
You had to do that last week.
Yes, I've had to do that last week. This takes us actually back to the Division. What we had agreed to do for the project was 4 YouTube videos. What ended up becoming the goal at the end of the project was not 4 YouTube videos, though they still happened. It was a full-on 40-minute long Amazon special on Amazon Prime. Now the delivery for something like that is very different than YouTube video. Once everything was done, and they come back and they say, you need to remove every single logo from the piece. This was never something set up beforehand when we bought the project on. This is never something that we needed to deliver for YouTube. From that experience, we have learned to be very explicit and very clear up front with what we're delivering. And if people push back on us during the process, we say no. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It means that if we can do it, we can then do it and surprise them and make them happy.
Mistake 2 is a pretty big mistake.
Well, that's mistake 2 and 3.
How are they different? What was the difference between 2 and 3?
One is leave yourself the ability to walk away, and the other is be clear with your expectations up front and don't compromise for the sake of making them happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you see it online all the time. Somebody makes an apology video, everybody complains about the apology video isn't good enough. But everybody would rather somebody make an apology video than no apology video.
I think apology videos are for suckers. 90% of them are just monetized anyways.
Lasers has been interesting. I've spent the majority of my time actually camera tracking everything. This is when the biggest issues about iPhone footage comes out blaringly obvious. It takes pretty decent video if you're holding the camera still. If I want to record a video, right, and I start doing stuff like, oh yeah, this is cool, but then motion blur gets out of control. So just before we actually rolled on this shot, I took a piece of gaff tape, I put it on the shelf over there, and I circled in with silver Sharpie a nice big circle. That gave me a nice point to track in post, but look at this point. But once the camera starts moving, look at what happens to that dot. No, it's still there. It's just now a line. So this right here should be a dot. So classically, when you're shooting something, each frame is exposed for a certain amount of time. So that means if you're 30 frames per second, a 360-degree shutter would be 1/30, a 30th of a second, one for every frame, right? I think it has like a variable shutter speed so that it'll actually lower the shutter speed if there's not enough light so that the shutter stays open longer to get more light. The downside is that when you move, because that shutter is open, it's recording everything as it mushes around. That's called motion blur. I go 180 miles an hour at all times. The idea behind camera tracking and match moving is that it tracks dozens or hundreds of points throughout your scene, and then it basically just throws a lot of math at it, recreating the actual camera movement, not just rotation-wise, but through 3D space. That's how we're able to create CG objects and place them into the scene as if they're actually there. The match moving program doesn't know how to track this anymore because it's like looking for a very specific type of image, and that image no longer exists because it's been stretched to oblivion. But with us in our brains and our smart interpretation of context, we know that that point is now a line, and so I can take a manual tracking point and place it on that dot throughout the shot, tell the program how the camera is moving. So each of these little red diamonds is a specifically placed keyframe. That's why this becomes a little tedious because it can't automatically solve the shot. I have a feeling that the iPhone recorded at a lower shutter speed than the frame rate, and that causes these crazy stretched motion blur lines.
Oh, hey. How's it going? Just thinking about the past. Anyway, did you think I was here to sell you this shirt again? Because I'm not. I'm here to sell you this hat. It's actually really comfortable. We put a little quarter digital tag on it. It's perfect for everyone who's going through the winter and you're not here in LA with us. In fact, this hat is so comfortable that when we received the samples for it, Carmichael went out, found the manufacturer, and bought his own hat, the same hat, in a different color because he liked it so much. He's wearing it right now. Turn the camera around. Turn the camera around. Look at this guy. Look at that guy. I think that's all I need to say about it.
We might want to restructure these mistakes so that way they all compound like this, because they do kind of tell a linear story in a way.
Well, I had them linearly planned out,
okay,
but we kind of just went for it.
It's not over-promise, under-deliver. It's under-promise, over-deliver. We established for a while that we would do really expensive-looking stuff for cheap. The reason is because we would make very little money on it, and we would just spend it all on the production and stretch ourselves thin and pull all-nighters to get it done.
That became the expectation for all projects that were offered to us after that. So it became, well, why can't you do it for this? Why can't you do it for that? Now we say, here's what we can deliver on, and it's like you said, under-promise. That way, when we work on it and throughout the course of working on it, we leave ourselves some room, you know? It's not like, well, sorry, hon, I gotta work the next 8 weeks every weekend. You don't wanna live like that. No one should live like that.
It's not to say you don't push yourself.
I think really the counterpoint to some of this stuff is we're calling them mistakes, but in a way they're also kind of a rite of passage. I mean, we remember when we moved to LA, we were doing VFX shots for $50 each. He comes back, the client, he's like, all right, hey, can we do another more for 50 each? And I'm like, I want $100 per shot. And he's like, whoa, I thought you did them for 50. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's, you know, I think
that was last week.
I'm poor.
While Wren's figuring out tracking iPhone footage, which is the worst, by the way, I am getting a look for the laser, and I'm talking with Nico. I'm pulling Nico aside when he's like got 2 seconds. He's gonna go to the bathroom. Nope. That's kind of like being in a NASCAR, driving around the track, and then every time you cross that checkpoint, you just see like a thumbs up. You're like, oh, okay, sweet. Or like and you're like, I'll adjust something. But then sometimes you gotta come in for that pit stop, you know? When you pull in, tires are all burnt out, and you're like, man, let's have a little combo here. Usually that's when Nico's trying to use the restroom, but I'm like, hold that poo, because we need to talk right now. Always when he's using the restroom, though. That's the key. Half of you guys probably watching this video right now on the toilet. But let's say someone just banged on your door and was like, yo, I need notes now on a video. And you have to like, and you have to give those notes. It keeps you alert. It keeps you going. That's like Nico's experience. But he never made it to the bathroom. Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward video. I love doing effects. I love doing effects. Because honestly, I'm at the point now where I can comfortably do effects. There's not really many question marks anymore. They're not daunting at all. You know, Wren is so good at visual effects, and I consider myself very good at visual effects as well. So the two of us combined, it's just like unstoppable, I feel. And we're just bouncing back and forth so well, and we fill in each other's gaps so well. It's such a great experience. I mean, downsides to working with Wren? There aren't really downsides.
Another mistake you don't have to make is missing out on this incredible low poly, floral, custom cut Oxford tee, or better known as a Hawaiian shirt, the Corridor Digital Hawaiian shirt. Something we designed completely from scratch. Kendra Toms designed this incredible pattern, had the fabric printed, the fabric turned and cut and sewn into these shirts. These are incredibly unique. They're one of a kind. You need to snag one right now because this is something we've been working on for months, and I'm so excited that it is finally released.
One last special as part of this whole Black Friday thing. Orders of 60 or more are going to get a free pin with a pin backer card that's been personally hand signed by each member of the crew. Orders of 75 or more in the US will get free shipping. So go to corridordigital.store.
And also, we put this cool low poly floral design on this long sleeve Corridor Digital Hawaiian inspired shirt. Look at this sleeve print too. Someone once said that these remind them of motocross shirts. I like dirt bikes.
Last one that we discussed here is be very careful with chasing trends. I think
What mistake did you make here, Jake?
there's nothing wrong with doing things that are within a trend, but I think I'll explain the difference after this. Or we thought, hey, you know what's a trend that's happening right now that's super successful on YouTube? Kids channels. The problem is they're all garbage.
All garbage.
They're all horrible for children. We feel like we should contribute to this in a positive way. We had the best intentions, and we created an animated kids channel called Cranium Kids. It's still up, it's still live, and this is the first time I think we've ever even brought it up.
We actually promised we would never promote it from this channel.
And
This is not a promotion.
This isn't a promotion. The intention was, it had all these characters. It had a counting wizard who would count a bunch of things. It had Alphabetty who would do stuff by alphabet. Yeah, Gabe and Jarrett were working on it almost every day. It was really cool. We were really excited about it, but it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work is because we were late to the party. The trendsetters who had started the whole thing were basically exploiting a unknown niche on YouTube that YouTube didn't like, and they eventually shut down. YouTube didn't distinguish our channel from any of the other ones. It just said these are all garbage and we're gonna sink them all. It's okay to chase certain trends, but I think you really want to be more of a trendsetter. You want to be early to the party and you want to help set the game. And it's okay if something works and there's a bit of a recurrence and a trend there that you follow and do. Better example of that and where we learn from it is with our last Primitive Technology video.
I mean, Primitive Technology is one channel specifically. There's other people doing that style of stuff, but that was additive. That wasn't derivative. That wasn't us just going out to the woods and doing another Primitive Technology video.
Right.
Versus going off and being like, you know what, let's evolve this. Let's do our own thing.
Take our own wagon train off this way.
You directed that piece.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys summed it up pretty well. It's a fluke. I was like, oh, that worked.
Well, that is the nature of viral videos in general. It's taking something that everybody's familiar with and putting your own twist on it. Rom-coms all understand these emotions that you go through in life, but you tell your own unique story around it. You give it your own twist.
We're not saying you shouldn't ever make a compromise. You shouldn't ever work with bad attitude. But these are mistakes that I think if we didn't make, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to share with you guys, and I think it's getting dark here, so.
I was thinking about Dark Souls and how this is just like real life Dark Souls, where you go and die and then you go back and you're like, I died here, and then you don't die.
Yeah. It's gonna be called Dim Souls. Consider subscribing if you are not subscribed to the Corridor Crew channel. You might like it. So Clint kicked the hack sack on top of the air conditioner again, and I'm gonna try to get it down. But while I do so, I wanna thank a couple of very special people in my life. Those couple of very special people are all of you guys that support us on Patreon. Thank you so much for helping make this possible, what we do. And there's a couple of people I specifically want to shout out here. First one is Philip Oxford. Thank you so much. Next one is Nathan McFarlane. Thank you so much. After that, we have Gary Dolph. I hope we don't get stuck in the air conditioner and make this longer. Hi, Peter.
Howdy.
Nicholas Saltus. And we got G Squared, and we got Taylor Dunbar. Thank you all you guys for your support. We also have Colin Heaton, we have Glitch Cube, we have James Bailey, and we have Brian Antoshik. Don't know how to pronounce. Sorry, Brian, I always mispronounce it. All right, this is it, moment of truth.
There's bikes in the way. You gotta hit it hard.
We got one more hit out of it.
I got one hit.
Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon, guys.